This is Kamera, my first few minutes with God, day 49, Leviticus chapter 16 through 18. After Aaron's sons die, the Lord speaks to Moses and tells him to warn Aaron, his brother, not to enter into the most holy place behind the inner curtains whenever he chooses. If he does, he will die. And he tells him that he needs to go through this purification process to make things right with himself and God, also for his family to be right with God as well. So there's this process he needs to go through. And we find out later that he goes through a process to make the people of Israel right with God too. That was kind of interesting what he had to do. He had to take this goat and place two hands on the head of this goat. Then he had to confess the children of Israel's sin, their rebellion, their wickedness, and then they had to send this goat into the wilderness. So the goat was basically the sins and wickedness that the children of Israel had done was transferring to the goat. Then they had to get this person to chase the goat into the wilderness. So there's a process they had to go through. Him, the chosen guy, and Aaron had to clean themselves. They had to wash themselves and bathe. They had to bathe and wash their clothes just to complete the purification. So he had to do a few things. So it is in there, guys. Make sure you read it. Interesting how particular God is in this here. So God also tells the children of Israel, don't drink blood. Don't eat blood. Don't eat or drink blood. Also don't eat animals that have died of natural causes. And if they have been killed by another animal, like torn apart by another animal, don't eat those animals. And there's a problem with that as well. They're unclean. And there's a purification process of that as well. Then they go through the sexual immoralities that the children of Israel must not partake in. The land that God is taking the children of Israel to, they partake in this. And God said, don't pick up their way of life. He says the way that they lived, the land has vomited them out. And God is pushing them out because they defiled the land. The children of Israel should not follow. But it's mainly talking at this point of the sexual sins that they did. For instance, sexual relationships with close relatives, not good. And it points out all of these sexual relationships that they should not partake in. You'll see where you have sister and brother should not have sexual relations, father and daughter, mother and son. You'll see a lot of them. Aunties, uncles, you shouldn't have sex with your close relatives. You shouldn't have sex with your neighbor's wife. You should not have sex with your brother-in-law if your sister is still living. So there's a lot in there that talks about the different type of relationship you should not partake in, including homosexuality. You should not partake in that, and sex with animals. These are some of the things that those inhabitants of Canaan partook in, and God said, no, don't do those things. And he says, don't sacrifice your children to idols. And they called one name out Molech. Don't give your children away to sacrifice to those idols. And he says that the people of Canaan practiced it and they defiled the land. And you would do the same if you did the same thing. He says, I am your God. So he says, just obey me, obey my regulations and my decrees, and all will be good. He says that you will find life in them. Isn't that something? So there you have it, guys. Day 49, Leviticus chapter 16 through 18. You have a God-filled blessed day.